Hello friends, it's Mr. Williams. Today we're going to work on a 4 by 1 division problem I'm going to use the partial quotients method. You're welcome to do it any way that works best for you. Westside School District has 3,465 elementary students enrolled. The school district wants the same number of students enrolled evenly among its 5 elementary schools. How many students will be in each elementary school? Use an algorithm to solve the problem. Show your work. Okay, like I said, you can use partial quotients or the standard algorithm to solve this problem. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to estimate. Okay, so if we have 3,465 and we have to divide those evenly among 5 groups, I'm going to look at it like this. I'm going to round that 3,465 up to 3,500 divided by 5, and that equals what? Well, don't get fooled by the big number here. This is pretty easy. You've made this number easy to work with because you got a 35 in the thousands place, 3 in the thousands place, and a 5 in the hundreds place, and then you got 5. Well, we know that 5 can go evenly into 35. How many times can 5 go evenly into 35? If you said 7, you are correct. 35 divided by 5, or 5 times 7 equals 35. Well, I've also told you about place value, and we know with these zeros, the 0 in the tens place and the 0 in the ones place, we can just tack those on to the end. So a good estimate for this problem should be around 700. Okay? Well, let's solve the problem and see if we're correct. I'm going to use the partial quotients method. I find it to be maybe a little bit easier for you where you're at currently, and we're going to do it a little bit differently than you're used to seeing. So let's set the problem up first. 5 divide, it's not very good. Let's do this in brown. All right, so we're gonna write it like this. 3,465 divided by 5. Excuse the messiness. Well, let's look at this. We know that 5 will go into, if we estimate it, at 3,500, we know that 5 will go into 3,500 700 times. Okay, well, let's use that knowledge and that information we have to help us start with our partial quotients. Let's do something that's easy, okay? I'm going to use 500. Let's go with 500. 500 times 5 is 2,500. By the way, on the Khan Academy video you watched earlier today, it's really the same process, except he was putting the numbers up here and then listing them up top. I'm doing it's the exact same thing, except I'm putting them over to the side. And I was going to do that for you, but the truth is I just don't have the room on here right now. So 500. We know that 5 times 5 is 25, and then we add our 2 zeros, we get 2,500. Let's subtract. 5 minus 0 is 5. 6 minus 0 is 6. We can't subtract 5 from 4, so we're going to borrow 1,000. And 14 minus 5 is 9. Now we have 965 left. Okay? Well, let's think again. We can't do it 1,000 times because 1,000 times 5 is 5,000, or 100. But 100 times might work. I know 100 times 5 is 500, I could probably go bigger. The cool thing about, like they said on the Khan Academy video, is you can really do this any way you want. You can use any numbers you want, whatever works easiest for you. I'm going to go with 100 because 100 is easy for me to work with. So I'm going to change my color here, and I'm going to put 100 right here. And I know 100 times 5 is 500. And I'm going to subtract and see what I'm left with. 5 minus 0 is 5. 6 minus 0, 6. And 9 minus 5 is 4. I'm left with 465. Okay, well, I know I can't go up to another 100 because 100 times 5 is 500, and this is 465. So I have to do something less. And this is another area where you could estimate, well, what's close to 465? Well, what would 450 divided by 5 look like? What would that look like? And I know that 45 divided by 5 is 9. And then if I add my 0, 90. So I'm going to try 90, and I'm going to see what 90 looks like. So we're going to write 90 here. 90 times 5 is 450. So again, subtract 450. And that's going to leave us with 15. I'm just going to write it over here. That's going to leave us with 15 when we subtract that. Sorry about that. So now we're left with 15. Well, most of you can see that, well, 15 is not less than 5, and it's certainly not 0, so we can divide one more time. Or more, maybe more than one time. But if you know your multiplication tables, you know that 5 can go into 15 evenly. How many times? If you said 3, you are correct. So I'm going to just put a 3 right here. 3 times 5 is 15, and that leaves us with a remainder of 0. Now, all I have to do is add up these guys, and I should come up with my answer. 500 plus 1 is 600, plus 90 is 690, plus 3 is 693. All right, is 693 reasonable? I would say yes. 693 is very, very close to 700. But there's one more thing we can do here to make sure we're correct. Pause the video, talk to your elbow partner. What's the last thing we can do to make sure we have done this problem correctly? If you said we can multiply, because multiplication is the inverse of division or the opposite of division, then you are correct. Let's multiply real quick. I'm going to do it in red. I'm going to do it right over here. So we're going to take our 693 times our 5, and we should come up with what if we've done this correctly? If you said we should come up with the original dividend, 3,465, you're correct. 5 times 3 is 15. 15, we're going to carry our 1. 9 times 5 is 45, plus 1 is 6. We're going to carry a 400 there. 6 times 5 is 30, plus 4 is 34. 3,465. Okay, everything matches up. So, how many students will be in each elementary school? If we divided them all up evenly among 5 elementary schools, the answer is 693. Thanks for watching the video.